So I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos about relationships between men and women and why, these ideas about why we're struggling so much and why men are struggling so much and what women should do to help men and with their struggle in connecting with us. And I feel like I kind of, some of the stuff that people are saying is kind of wild, about men needing to be providers and how because men need to be providers, women need to learn to be softer or not take care of themselves, so that men can take care of them, and how it's negative that, women are finding their own power and are, saying, I take care of myself and I'm a badass, bitch, and, et cetera, et cetera. And like a lot of that's just backwards, I'm not saying that if you want, I give advice mainly for women. I'm a girl's girl. If you, if it helps men, that's great too. This is going to be more for men. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you want to have a man financially provide for you, there's reasons why you might want that. I'm not going to discourage you. I'm going to say do what you want. I did that. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a wife 2 times, actually. In fact, I was a wife to 2 different husbands. And I can tell you that it's a really great thing to be able to provide for yourself. But if you don't, there's some benefit to having a man provide for you physically, so that you can stay home with your kids if that's something you're interested in. And I'm not going to discourage you from it, but I do want to talk about why I think men have such a hard time with women who do provide for themselves, and given that more of them do, and the rules have changed, how can they reach us? Because the problem is that they need to reach us. We don't need to reach them as much as they need to reach us. And I'm not trying to be mean here, but the fact of the matter is that men benefit much more from marriage than women do. That is backed up by, solid data. If you look at married men's health versus singles men's health of the same age, there's just, married men are much healthier. They live longer. Men who lose their wives are at a much higher risk of suicide than women who lose their husbands. And it's because, marriage really benefits men. And so how can a man get a woman to want to marry him? If she's taking care of herself, and, how can he get her to do that? And I'm going to talk about the anatomy of a relationship in order to kind of start there. So you will know this anatomy if you have done lots and lots of yoga or meditation, and you are able to feel, see, or sense in some way your subtle bodies. But you don't just have a physical body. You have subtle bodies. You have the chakra system. You have the ethereal body, which is almost exactly like your physical body, except it's not, solid. And these bodies that have relationship exchange too. It's not just when you have sex with somebody that you have an exchange of, body stuff. You also do that energetically all the time. And if you can't sense or feel the ethereal body, that's why I'm drawing. I'm an absolutely terrible artist, but I'm trying to show you the relationship anatomy. So the relationship anatomy, the energetic relationship anatomy, starts with the energy of the two people. Now, in truth, the subtle bodies are not one color like this. They are many, 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 many colors. They are much more colorful than your physical body. But this is just a diagram. It is not like a painting of the ethereal body. There are artists that have painted ethereal bodies, and I recommend you actually look at them if you want to kind of see what it looks like if you don't have the time or desire to practice yoga and get in touch with it yourself. But they're real, okay? And what happens is, in the anatomy of a relationship, you put in your energy. Here's you, right? Or here's her and here's him, or she and she, doesn't matter, he and he. But every relationship you are putting in energetically, right? And then that creates a new body. It is a new being. A relationship has an anatomy. It has its own anatomy, and we both put in to this. And, maybe it winds up being kind of purplish now. Like I said, the ethereal bodies aren't one color. They are so many colors, and, you don't want to say that. But this is what happens. You put into it, and you create this being that is the relationship. So you're sharing something here, and it's beautiful. And then what happens is you pour into it. He pours in his energy and she pours in her energy. And this is not really gender specific, but just saying that, we're kind of talking about men and women here and why I feel men have a hard time. And then you also draw from it. So I'm just going to take in another thing here, right? And this is where let's say she's drawing from the energy. And you're drawing back your energy mixed with the other person's energy. And then this comes into you and it mixes in with your energy. And it's a very beautiful experience. And yes, it happens during sex, but not only during sex, it happens during all kinds of loving moments that you have with this person. Okay, so here we go. He's putting in and he's drawing from the relationship, which is its own separate being. And the relationship is nurturing him and nourishing him. And here it goes all around his systems. And it's, permeating his being. And, this is what's happening between these two people. So this is him, this is her, and this is the relationship, which has its own life to it. Okay? Now, relationships a lot can happen when you understand this model, right? This is like the physiology, all right? So this is like the physiology of the relationship. And then it also has various, many different ways you can get a pathophysiology, like when the relationship becomes sick. So one way is that it can become really imbalanced. Like one person might be doing all the giving. Like let's say she's doing just give. And this relationship is like, it's a lot of her energy because she's giving, right? And then he's just mostly doing the taking, and he's just take. And then, he's just, taking it all, and maybe the red is coming here and he's taking her in, but he's not putting enough back so she's feeling drained. Okay. So that situation is where one party feels drained. Okay. Sometimes both people can feel drained. There's all kinds of like different dynamics that can go on, right? Sometimes somebody puts something into the relationship that is not actually good for the other person, and the other person takes it and brings it into themselves and then feels it go throughout themselves, and it's not actually a positive thing for that person. So that's another way that a relationship can get kind of toxic for one person. Sometimes there can be all kinds of things that go on, right, in this dynamic. But the thing is that in order to be able to affect this or participate in a relationship energetically, you don't have to know that you have an ethereal body. You don't have to know You don't have to see it, feel it. You don't have to practice yoga. None of that has to be happening because you have one regardless of whether you know about it or not. But you do have to be able to tap into it in some way. And the way that we do that is through emotions. The way that human beings tap in to our energy is through our emotions. You can also do it somewhat through your thoughts. You know, you can have a thought exchange, you know, that's not outside of the realm of possibility, but the thoughts really do, in order to connect energetically, need to be tied to your emotions, because that is the way the human self picks up the spiritual self. And the problem that men are having is that they are so used to giving to a relationship in a material way. They've been trained by our society to think that is the way they participate in a relationship. They are used to, you know, providing a home or even flowers or dinner. They're buying stuff. They're collecting all their materials over here. They're just like collecting it all, and they're just creating this mountain so that they have something to offer their woman at some point in their life. Like, I need to offer something. I need to offer something, and this is what I know about to offer. I know how to give my money, my time, my work. It's not just money. It's physical things. It's things we can see, the things that are like more solid in the material world, body things, work things, money, those kinds of things. If you read tarot, it's like the Pentacles suit, okay? It's like the real solid stuff. And they're accumulating this that they can then kind of throw over to the woman, but she already has her own reserve, right, of that. And that's not really what she needs, if that's not really what she needs. And if she's been conditioned to feel that, you know, this is something that if a man, she shouldn't depend on a man for, which, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's not her fault that she thinks that. If our society doesn't really operate that way anymore, then his offer is just not gonna, it's not gonna mean that much to her. But his problem is that he doesn't know, he doesn't have this language. He doesn't have the emotional ability to connect with her. And therefore, he's not affecting her spirit. He's not able to build the relationship. This is the relationship. It's built on emotions. It's built on emotions. I mean, it's not just emotions. It has its own spiritual world, but emotions are the human way that we get in touch with that. So if he doesn't have access to his own emotions because our society has not taught him that it's okay for him to cry, to feel love, to feel joy, to feel pain, to feel sorrow, or that it might be okay to feel those things, but not to express them, then he doesn't have an ability to build this energetic relationship that she needs. And everybody winds up being lonely, but women are a little better off because they have female friends that they can build energetic relationships with. And men tend to not have them because they tend to only be able to access these feelings through sex, because that's more physical body stuff that they know how to experience that. They've been taught that it's okay for them to love sex and want sex, but they haven't really been taught that it's okay for them to want love, to feel, to cry, to support, to do all those things. And I think this is the main issue that we're having. So I don't think we can solve this problem on the female side. I don't think that we can just say, oh, well, what you need to do is just accept his stuff. No, we don't need to make women more physically dependent on men to solve this problem. We need to help men grow to a place where they can give emotionally. And I gotta tell you that I think there's some argument that men are just, it's in their hormones or in their physical bodies to just not have these emotional experiences. And like, you know, there might be something to be said about testosterone dulling emotions, but men absolutely do have emotions and can be trained to express their emotions just like women are from the time they're real little and they're playing with dolls and they're doing all the stuff that they're doing. They're expressing their thoughts and their feelings and they're being creative and doing all those things and being encouraged to do those things. Men can also be encouraged to do those things and need to be encouraged to do those things. And both sexes need to be encouraged, and intersex people and trans people and all people need to be encouraged to do those things so that they can access the spirit. So we need to have humanities in school. I know we're so into STEM, but we need to have art and humanities and philosophy and these kinds of things so that people can get in touch with these subtle thoughts and feelings that will help them have an energetic experience and keep their lives more meaningful. Okay, so the solution is that men do need to be able to cry, to express themselves, to do all those things. And I'm not saying that, you know, they're going to do it the same way that women do it. I think, you know, men will probably on average do it differently, but they need to have that experience and be in touch with that stuff so that they can learn to provide on an energetic level. Instead of just providing in the physical world, they need to learn to provide energetically so that they can create and maintain these relationships that are so important to them.